You're standing in a field at dawn, katana trembling in your hands, facing a figure who is trained since childhood to kill with surgical precision. The morning mist swirls around you both. This isn't a movie. This isn't a game. This is about to become the shortest and most educational few seconds of your life. You think your weekend martial arts classes prepared you. You think those YouTube tutorials gave you an edge. You think that replica sword hanging on your wall means something. You're about to discover just how catastrophically wrong you are about everything you believe regarding combat, discipline, and what it truly means to face death itself. The samurai standing before you would end your existence so swiftly and precisely that your nervous system wouldn't even have time to register the pain before your consciousness faded into eternal darkness. Let me paint you the real picture of what you're actually facing, because everything you think you know about samurai combat is probably wrong, and the reality is absolutely terrifying. The foundation of samurai training began not with teenage enthusiasm or adult hobbies, but with brutal conditioning that started at age 7. In 1185, during the establishment of the Kamakura shogunate, samurai children were already being shaped into living weapons through a systematic process that would break most modern adults within the first week. At 7 years old, these children began with wooden swords weighing 6 pounds, practicing 8,000 cuts daily. Not 800, 8,000, every single day. By age 10, they graduated to real steel, practicing with live blades that could sever fingers with the slightest mistake. Their training regimen included meditation in freezing waterfalls, sleeping on stone floors, and fasting for days while maintaining perfect form in their techniques. The progression was systematic and merciless. At 12, they were sparring with seasoned warriors using real weapons. At 15, many had already taken their first lives in actual combat. By 20, a typical samurai had accumulated more genuine sword-fighting experience than every modern martial artist combined would see in multiple lifetimes. Take Miyamoto Musashi, who fought his first duel at 13 and killed his opponent. This wasn't luck or beginner's fortune. This was the result of training that treated death as a constant companion and perfection as the minimum acceptable standard. Musashi went on to fight over 60 duels without a single defeat, developing techniques so devastating they were banned from being taught to anyone outside the warrior class. Studies conducted by biomechanics, experts at Tokyo University analyzed traditional samurai training methods and discovered that these warriors developed reaction times averaging 0.13 seconds. Modern athletes, even elite fighters, average 0.25 seconds. The samurai's advantage isn't just technique. It's literally superhuman reflexes developed through training that push the human body beyond normal limitations. Archaeological evidence from samurai burial sites reveals bone density measurements that are 2.4 times higher than modern humans. Their skeletal structure shows evidence of muscle attachment so developed that contemporary sports scientists initially thought the bones belonged to a different subspecies. These weren't just skilled fighters. They were physically evolved killing machines. While modern martial artists practice 3 times per week for an hour, samurai trained 16 hours daily for their entire lives. While contemporary fighters learn choreographed movements, samurai practiced with the singular goal of ending human life as efficiently as possible. While today's warriors spar with safety equipment, samurai trained knowing that every mistake could result in immediate death. Everything you think you know about sword fighting comes from Hollywood nonsense and romanticized fiction. The reality is that samurai combat was about biomechanical efficiency, psychological warfare, and a spiritual connection to death that modern humans cannot comprehend. They didn't fight with elaborate spinning moves or dramatic poses. They fought with surgical precision, designed to end conflicts within the first exchange of blows. Contemporary accounts from European visitors to feudal Japan describe samurai cutting through multiple opponents in seconds, moving with such speed that witnesses claimed they appeared to teleport from position to position. Portuguese missionaries wrote detailed reports of single samurai defeating groups of 20 or more bandits without sustaining injuries, using techniques so precise they could decapitate multiple enemies with one fluid motion. The mental conditioning was equally devastating. Samurai practiced meditation techniques specifically designed to eliminate fear of death, emotional attachment, and hesitation. They could enter combat with the psychological state of someone who had already accepted their own death, making them capable of taking risks and executing techniques that would paralyze normal humans with terror. Modern neuroscience research has analyzed these meditation practices and discovered they actually rewired the brain's fear response. MRI scans of monks practicing similar techniques showed dramatically reduced activity in the amygdala, the brain region responsible for fear processing. Samurai weren't just trained to ignore fear. They were conditioned to be neurologically incapable of experiencing it during combat. But here's what makes this truly terrifying for any modern person attempting to face a samurai in actual combat. You've been conditioned by a society that values safety, comfort, and preservation of life above all else. Your nervous system is designed to avoid conflict, seek compromise, and retreat from danger. You've never experienced genuine mortal peril, where split-second decisions determine whether you live or die. The samurai's entire existence was built around intimate familiarity with death. They slept next to their swords. They meditated on their own mortality daily. They practiced seppuku rituals to ensure they could end their own lives with honor if necessary. Death wasn't something they feared or avoided. It was a trusted companion. They had made peace with decades before stepping into combat. Your modern mind would be simultaneously processing fear, adrenaline, uncertainty, and self-preservation instincts that would create a psychological chaos preventing effective decision-making. The samurai's mind would be clear, focused, and operating with the efficiency of someone performing a routine task they had perfected through decades of repetitive practice. The technical specifications of samurai swordsmanship reveal the true brutality of their methods. A properly executed iai-jutsu draw could accelerate the katana blade to over 120 miles per hour within the first 6 inches of movement. The cutting power generated by this technique could sever a human torso completely in half with a single strike. Traditional tameshigiri testing involved cutting through multiple corpses stacked on top of each other to measure a samurai's technique quality. Master swordsmen could cut through 7 bodies with one stroke, requiring not just strength but perfect edge alignment, timing, and follow-through. Modern practitioners using identical techniques struggled to cut through a single tatami mat cleanly. The katana itself was engineered with metallurgical precision that wouldn't be matched in the West for centuries. The folded steel construction created blades with hardness ratings, exceeding modern surgical instruments, while maintaining flexibility that prevented breaking under extreme stress. These weren't just weapons. They were precision instruments designed for optimal human destruction. Biomechanical analysis shows that samurai cutting techniques generated force measurements equivalent to being struck by a sledgehammer moving at full speed, but concentrated on an edge thinner than a razor blade. The physics involved in their strikes created pressure per square inch measurements that could cut through steel armor, let alone unprotected human flesh. You wouldn't last 30 seconds against a true samurai warrior, and that's being optimistically generous. Your first instinctive movement would telegraph your intentions so clearly that they would have already begun their killing stroke before your conscious mind finished processing the decision to attack. Your modern reflexes, developed through video games and safe sparring, would respond with the speed of someone moving through thick molasses compared to their lightning-quick precision. Your emotional state would deteriorate into panic within the first exchange, destroying any technical skill you might possess under normal circumstances. The samurai would read your fear, anticipate your desperation moves, and systematically dismantle your defenses while remaining as calm as someone reading a book on a quiet afternoon. The psychological impact of facing someone who has genuinely killed multiple human beings in close combat would overwhelm your nervous system before the first sword stroke was thrown. You would be fighting not just their physical superiority, but the accumulated spiritual energy of someone who has looked into the eyes of dying men and felt no hesitation, remorse, or uncertainty about ending their existence. So the next time you watch a samurai movie or pick up that decorative katana, remember this moment of brutal honesty. You're admiring the tools and traditions of warriors who existed on a level of martial development that modern humans can barely comprehend, let alone match. The gap between their capabilities and yours isn't just about training or technique. It's about fundamental differences in how a human being can be forged through fire into something that transcends normal limitations. The field at dawn isn't just a place where swords meet. It's where the soft comfort of modern life encounters the hard reality of what humans can become when survival depends on absolute mastery of violence.